In 2025, Benioff promised Salesforce might never hire another engineer. Today, they have 15,000. This week, he went back on camera and said one word: yet. Same week, OpenAI published a document that tells you exactly what the people building the AI think happens after that yet. And while both of those landed, 91,000 tech workers got cut. Sweet hiring went up by 9%. And nobody explained how both those numbers could be true at the same time. Benioff gave you the timer. Altman's team published the destination. The data tells you who gets hits first. Let's find your move inside all three. Here is what Benioff said this week. Not the headline, but the full thing. Let's take a listen.
Our engineering organization is probably more than 30% more productive, but I wouldn't call it 100% more productive. And that's why even in the top AI companies, if you go to their job boards, you'll see they are hiring a lot of engineers. They're hiring a lot of everybody because they have to build companies of humans. Even though these top AI companies, we can go through the list of them again, have these unbelievable models, they need a lot of humans. And that's the canary in the coal mine, that we know that the models are not at that level yet.
Let's slow that down. 3 things buried in that code that almost nobody is talking about. First, 30%, not 100%. Salesforce is one of the most AI invested companies on the planet. His engineers have every internal AI tool available. The productivity gain he's willing to claim out loud, 30%, not 100%. So it's not an apocalypse yet. Second, the job board test. He's not talking about Salesforce only. He's pointing at the entire industry. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepMind, all are still hiring engineers. If the models were ready to replace them, these companies building these models would be first to stop hiring. Well, they haven't. Third, and this is the one that matters the most, he said yet, not never. Not the thread that was overblown. Yet, which means Benioff is telling you there is a clock running. He's just not telling you what time it is. Bold claims get walked back, yet doesn't. That's not a prediction. It is an admission from a CEO who watched the models develop from the inside for 15 months. The most honest thing he could say publicly was not yet. Your career is inside that gap. If you've liked this video so far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and every single one counts. And to thank you, here's a picture of my dog, Kaden. Here's what the headlines missed. Salesforce froze hiring engineers, but at the same time, they started hiring more salespeople by 20%, all because of Agentforce. Let's take a listen.
A good example is if you go to help.salesforce.com right now, you know that you're working with Agentforce to resolve your customer service issue. But for about half the calls, it hits a moment where that customer is like, I need to speak to somebody. And the agent goes, you're right. And boom, through our omni-channel supervisor, goes to a human who then gets a screen in front of them. And that screen, it could be in Slack, it could be in Lightning, then is looking at all the conversations, all of the information. And humans are really good at that moment, looking at a screen and going, actually, the problem needs to be this. We're just very good at synthesis. And that human even won't be 100% accurate, but the large language model is still needed a very high percentage of the time.
The AI product created a sales problem. They're throwing people at it. That's not AI replacing workers. That's AI changing which workers you need. The engineers who can sit in that sales conversation and explain the technical side of things, they're not getting frozen out. They're getting pulled in. The I write code, hand it over the wall role, that is over. And it is what's under pressure, not engineering. The isolated version of engineering is. Now, here's where this week gets actually genuinely pretty confusing, and why your anxiety about these headlines is completely rational. 2 sets of numbers dropped this week that directly contradicts each other. Number 1, 227 tech companies have cut jobs in 2026. 91,000 people impacted. That's 926 people per day losing their jobs in tech. Those are real people, real jobs, real pain. Number 2, Pave, a compensation and hiring data firm, pulling from actual offer letters and real hiring pipelines, published data showing that software engineering hiring has gone up by 9% year over year. So both of these numbers are true, like sometimes at the same week, at the same quarter. The layoff tracker is measuring separations, which is real. The Poly data is measuring new hiring activities, new offers, new pipelines being moved, which is also real. What they're together revealing is a reallocation in jobs, not a collapse.
And here's the part that matters for you specifically. The cuts are concentrated at the entry level. The 9% increase year over year is mostly on senior and mid-career level roles, not entry level. The entry level suite jobs are being automated, but companies were planning to do that anyways. Benioff says productivity is up 30% and layoffs are hitting entry-level roles. That's not a coincidence. Higher productivity means fewer junior engineers are needed. Seniors stay because they guide AI, catch errors, and make architectural decisions. What's disappearing is volume work, tickets, backlog tasks, build to spec type of work. AI boosts throughput without adding headcount. The fear isn't wrong, just misdirected. AI isn't replacing engineers. It's replacing entry-level engineers. Make sure your role isn't entry-level. OpenAI published a 13-page proposal pushing robot taxes and 32-hour work weeks. Most see it as policy or PR, but that's the wrong read. You don't push ideas like that unless you see what's coming. OpenAI knows its roadmap and timing and chose now to tell governments to prepare. At the same time, Benioff says yet, and then layoffs hit 91,000 and hiring rose 9%. That's not a coincidence. It's a signal. The people with the most information are already moving. JP Morgan CEO went on to say 3.5 work weeks are coming. Take a listen.
30 years from now, a lot of people, your kids are probably working 2.5 days a week. They'll probably live to 100, and a lot of the diseases that afflict a lot of us, they won't get. There'll be cures to cancer, cars will be safer, planes will be safer, life will be better, you can hike more, do all the things
You're talking about the Jetsons from the 1960s. Walter Cronkite anchored a special about how the future that we're living in right now was supposed to be what you're saying.
No, this is going to happen. I mean, the world is getting very productive. AI is going to do that. AI is going to cure cancers. It's going to come with better materials. It'll stop a lot of car crashes. And so I think that is happening, okay? It's going to happen. The risk is if it is too fast.
Right.
And the Zoom CEO said 3-day work weeks are coming. I've got no complaints. How about you? I hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, smash that like button. And to say thank you, I am gonna leave you with a laugh. So if you got this far and you're still not sure whether your job is safe, don't worry. According to Marc Benioff, you have time. He just won't tell you how much. Subscribe and I'll keep watching the clock for you.